Have you ever felt that wave of loneliness and thought a quick visit to a friend would instantly fix it? After retirement, many people discover that the silence in their homes feels louder than ever, as if the whole world has slowed down while their thoughts only grow heavier. But what if the very thing you believe will ease the emptiness, leaning on friends every time you feel alone, could actually be making life harder in the long run? When retirement begins, it's natural to feel a strange quiet settle into your daily life. The routines that once filled your days, work schedules, coworkers, phone calls, and endless tasks suddenly vanish, leaving behind wide-open hours with too much time to think. During those long stretches of stillness, many people start reaching for the past, calling old friends, dropping by unannounced, or trying to fill that emptiness with familiar company. But here's the surprising truth. Visiting friends every time you feel lonely may not always be the best choice for your heart, your relationships, or even your long-term happiness. As strange as it may sound, relying too heavily on friendships during retirement can sometimes deepen loneliness rather than cure it. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 surprising reasons why visiting friends in moments of emotional emptiness might actually do more harm than good. This is not about cutting people off. Instead, it's about learning how to build a life that is emotionally stronger, more self-reliant, and truly fulfilling. We'll begin with how you manage your time, your energy, and your inner peace. Each of the 5 reasons comes from real patterns seen in people navigating retirement and emotional health. And by the end of this video, you'll not only see yourself more clearly, but also understand how to approach friendships in a way that helps you grow instead of cling. So stay with me on this. Don't turn away just because it may feel a little uncomfortable. Often, the hardest truths are the ones that set us free. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the perfect time to do so you won't miss valuable insights that help you stay mentally strong and emotionally steady as you move through this next chapter of life. Let's begin. Number 1. One-sided emotional dependence. One of the most common mistakes people make after retirement is believing that the solution to loneliness is to lean on friends the same way they once did. But here's the reality. Friendships shift as we grow older. The dynamics change. And if you're not careful, you may find yourself placing the entire weight of your emotional well-being onto someone who never asked to carry it. That's why this first reason matters so much when you're feeling lonely. Visiting a friend may feel like a lifeline in the moment, giving quick comfort. But over time, it can quietly create an unbalanced relationship, where one person becomes the source of reassurance, while the other feels like an emotional crutch. This imbalance not only strains the friendship, but can also keep you from developing your own strength and independence. Think about 2 men, Robert and Gerald, both 72 years old. Robert enjoys quiet afternoons, tinkering in his garage, or losing himself in a good book at the library. He values time with friends, but he is also perfectly content with his own company. Gerald, on the other hand, feels restless nearly every day. Since retiring, he spends much of his time calling old friends, dropping by their homes and hoping that conversation or company will distract him from his feelings of emptiness. At first, Gerald's constant visits and calls feel like connection. His friends welcome the conversations, share a laugh, and enjoy catching up. But as time passes, something changes. The calls become more frequent, the drop-ins more expected, and slowly, his friends begin to feel a weight they weren't prepared to carry. They stop answering every call. They come up with polite excuses to avoid yet another unplanned visit. And for Gerald, who already struggled with loneliness, this shift feels like rejection on top of isolation. This cycle is more common than most people realize. When we rely on others to fix how we feel inside, it often backfires. Not because our friends don't care, but because they never signed up to fill that role. Friendships that once felt mutual and lighthearted begin to feel one-sided and heavy. Eventually, people start pulling away. Not because they dislike you, but because the connection no longer feels joyful. Instead, it feels draining. The danger here is subtle but very real. You begin to associate your friends not with genuine companionship, but with temporary relief from your own pain. The friendship becomes more like a prescription than a relationship. And when that dose isn't available, the loneliness doesn't just return. It comes back stronger than before. Even worse, this cycle keeps you from developing the kind of quiet strength that comes from knowing you can stand emotionally steady on your own, even in the absence of company. But there is a better path forward. The key is to build your days with small, grounding routines that make you feel whole by yourself. Something as simple as making your bed in the morning, preparing a meal from scratch, writing down your thoughts in a notebook, or taking a slow walk without your phone can anchor you in your own presence. When you start treating your own company with the same respect and attention you once gave your career or your family, you begin to discover a sense of emotional independence. That's a kind of strength no friend can give you, and no absence can take away. So before you knock on that friend's door simply because you're feeling empty, pause and ask yourself gently, am I hoping they'll fix something I haven't yet learned to carry on my own? The answer might surprise you, and that awareness could be the first step toward building a deeper kind of strength. Number 2, different life rhythms after retirement. Once you stop working, the days stretch out longer than they used to. Your calendar suddenly opens up, mornings move at a slower pace, and for the first time in decades, you're no longer tied to someone else's schedule. That freedom can feel like a gift, but it also creates an unexpected mismatch between you and those around you, especially when they aren't living the same rhythm. And this is where the second reason becomes clear. You may feel lonely and want to reach out, but your timing may not fit with your friends' lives anymore. What feels like a natural visit for you might actually create tension, confusion, or even quiet distance if their pace doesn't match yours. Take Marilyn and Lorraine, both 69. Marilyn has been retired for a year and now enjoys her slow breakfasts, leisurely afternoon walks, and early evenings spent in quiet reflection. Lorraine, her longtime friend, is still juggling responsibilities, working part-time and caring for her grandchildren 3 days a week. Marilyn, feeling isolated, starts dropping by Lorraine's house unannounced, looking for company. Lorraine welcomes her warmly at first, but as the visits become more frequent, the pressure of balancing her own schedule with Marilyn's expectations begins to weigh on her. Lorraine doesn't say anything at first, but Marilyn begins to notice subtle changes. The text replies grow shorter, the tone feels more clipped, and the once open door now seems harder to knock on. Marilyn senses the shift and starts to feel rejected, without realizing that she may have unintentionally been stepping into her friend's already full life at the wrong times. What few people talk about is how retirement often creates invisible friction in friendships. While your own schedule may suddenly feel wide open, your friends might still be balancing demanding commitments, work responsibilities, medical appointments, caregiving duties, or even the emotional toll of their own struggles. When you drop by out of loneliness without checking in first, you may unknowingly disrupt their rhythm. Instead of closeness, what you create is distance. Even more important is the unspoken message these visits can sometimes carry. I'm bored, and I need you to fix it. Your friend might smile, pour you a cup of coffee, and make polite conversation. Yet beneath the surface, part of them may feel pressured to stop what they're doing just to make you feel better. Over time, this quiet imbalance builds resentment, not because they don't care, but because they never signed up to be your anchor every single time the loneliness sets in. There's nothing wrong with wanting company. Human beings are wired for connection. But true friendship only thrives when both people feel seen, respected, and free. That means respecting each other's pace, responsibilities, and boundaries. So, what's the alternative? Instead of relying solely on friends to fill your time, try creating your own rhythm first. Build simple morning rituals, even if they're small and ordinary, that help you feel grounded before you reach for someone else's presence. Volunteer once a week. Sign up for a local class, join a community group, or simply explore a new activity that sparks your interest. When your life begins to carry its own rhythm, you'll notice that visits to friends come from a place of fullness rather than desperation. And your friends will notice it too. They'll sense that you're usually not looking to be rescued. You're simply showing up to share a meaningful moment together. That shift changes everything. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the bell so you won't miss future videos designed to keep you informed, strong, and emotionally steady. Your support helps us continue creating content that inspires and uplifts. Now, let's move forward. Number 3. Hidden emotional triggers. One of the quietest and most overlooked reasons why visiting friends after retirement can sometimes make things worse is that these visits have a way of waking up emotions you thought had long gone to sleep. Spending time with people who knew you in a different season of life, when you were working, raising kids, or chasing goals, can stir up memories you didn't expect. Some of those memories are sweet and comforting, but others may carry old disappointments, regrets, or even unresolved pain. And that's what makes this third reason so important, because socializing, while well-intentioned, may not always give your heart what it truly needs when you're feeling low. Consider Sam and Paul, both in their early 70s. They worked side by side as co-workers for 25 years, building a friendship rooted in their daily routines. After retirement, they decided to keep the tradition alive by meeting up every Saturday for breakfast. At first, those Saturday breakfasts felt comforting and familiar. Sam enjoyed the routine and the chance to catch up with an old friend. But as the weeks passed, he began leaving those meals with a heavy feeling he couldn't quite name. It took some time before he realized what was happening. Every conversation circled back to their careers, the projects they once worked on, the accomplishments they were proud of, or the endless office gossip that used to fill their days. Paul seemed to enjoy reliving those moments, but for Sam, who had been quietly struggling with questions of purpose since retiring, the conversations only reminded him of what he felt he had lost. Slowly, Sam began comparing himself, wondering whether he had done enough, whether his years of effort had truly mattered. Instead of walking away energized, he left each visit weighed down with doubt. And this experience is far more common than many people are willing to admit. Retirement is not simply about leaving a job. It's about stepping away from an identity you've carried for decades. And when you return to people who knew you in that role, it can stir up old patterns, old insecurities, and lingering doubts that never fully healed. Friends can unintentionally reinforce the version of yourself you're trying to grow beyond. Not because they mean harm, but because that's the version of you they remember most clearly. And if that friendship carries even a trace of past competition, subtle comparisons, or unresolved tension, it can leave you feeling as if you're constantly measuring your life against theirs, even when no one says a word about it. That quiet pressure builds slowly. And instead of leaving a visit feeling supported and uplifted, you walk away feeling smaller, questioning yourself in ways you thought you had outgrown. Does this mean you should cut ties with old friends? Absolutely not. But it does mean you need to be honest about what those interactions stir inside you. If you consistently walk away feeling anxious, drained, or unsure of your worth, it may be a signal that you're still carrying emotional baggage that deserves your attention. And sometimes, those visits you think are helping may actually be slowing your healing. Give yourself permission to step back when needed, to create space where you can sort through your thoughts and feelings without the weight of comparison. Often, the healthiest choice is to sit quietly with your own memories, deciding which ones to keep carrying forward and which ones it's finally time to release. That isn't isolation, that's growth. And in many ways, it's the kind of inner work that only you can do. Number 4. Social fatigue and superficial talk. Not all loneliness can be cured by company. In fact, sitting across from someone, nodding politely through small talk, and pretending to enjoy a conversation that doesn't touch your heart can leave you feeling more isolated than if you had stayed alone. This is one of the most overlooked truths about aging and connection. The presence of another person doesn't automatically equal closeness. That's why the fourth reason is so important. Visiting friends out of habit, especially when you're already feeling emotionally low, can end up draining you instead of restoring you. When we seek true connection, but instead find ourselves in interactions that lack depth or presence, our spirit notices the gap. We walk away not only unfulfilled, but sometimes emptier than before, carrying the quiet ache of loneliness even after being with someone else. Think of Barbara and Jean, both 75. Barbara has always been the chatty type, good with words, quick with stories, and lively in conversation. Jean enjoys her company, but over time their weekly coffee dates have become predictable. The conversation drifts to the same topics: the weather, the neighbors, what the grandchildren are doing. It's pleasant, but it rarely goes deeper. One day Jean tried to open up about her struggles with sleep and the lingering sadness she couldn't quite shake. But Barbara brushed it off with a quick joke and immediately shifted the subject. After that moment, Jean stopped trying to share. She still keeps their weekly coffee dates, but instead of leaving energized, she often walks away feeling drained, unseen, and strangely disconnected. The truth is, as we grow older, our tolerance for surface-level conversation shrinks. We begin to crave authenticity, honest exchanges where we feel not just heard, but truly understood. Yet many long-term friendships were never built on that kind of emotional depth. They were shaped by routines, shared workplaces, neighborhood events, or family obligations, not by vulnerability. So, when you visit someone out of loneliness, hoping for closeness, but end up in shallow small talk or distracted half-listening, it creates a quiet disappointment. That disappointment doesn't shout. It lingers silently, sometimes for hours after you return home. This kind of social fatigue is subtle, almost invisible. It doesn't always appear as anger or sadness. Instead, it might be the heavy sigh when you sit down in your chair, or the fleeting thought, "Why did I even go?" That's your body's way of telling you the energy you spent wasn't replenished. It's a signal that what you longed for, connection, wasn't truly met. The answer isn't to stop seeing people altogether. It's to pause and ask yourself why you're seeking them out in the first place. Are you looking for genuine, nourishing connection, or are you simply trying to fill an empty afternoon? Those two intentions feel very different, and when they're confused, the result is often more loneliness, not less. The solution isn't necessarily to talk more, but to talk deeper. And if the people you see regularly can't or won't meet you at that level, then maybe it's time to gently widen your circle, to seek others who can, or even to begin practicing that depth with yourself first. After all, the quality of connection matters far more than the quantity of company, because learning how to sit with your own thoughts, to ask your own questions, and to offer yourself your own presence is one of the most powerful skills you can develop at this stage of life. It may not come easily at first, but building that inner strength is like exercising a muscle. It grows with practice. If you're still watching and finding these insights meaningful, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the perfect time. Turn on the bell so you won't miss future videos designed to help you stay balanced, strong, and emotionally secure. Your support allows us to continue creating content that both informs and inspires. Now, let's move on. Number 5. Missed opportunities for inner growth. Silence can feel unsettling, even intimidating, especially for those who have spent a lifetime surrounded by noise. Decades filled with conversations at work, endless phone calls, family demands, and never-ending to-do lists meant there was always something filling the air. Then retirement arrives, and suddenly there is space, time, and quiet. For many, that quiet feels almost unbearable, and that is why so many people rush to fill the silence with constant activity, visits with friends, phone calls, group plans, anything that keeps them from sitting alone with their own thoughts. But here's the hidden truth. Every time you run to someone else just to escape that silence, you may actually be robbing yourself of the most valuable gift this stage of life has to offer: inner growth. Consider Ellen and Ruth, both 78 years old. Ellen fills every single day with social obligations. She has breakfast with former coworkers, plays afternoon card games with neighbors, and spends her evenings on the phone with her sister. Her calendar looks full, her hours are busy, and her life seems active. Ruth, on the other hand, entered retirement with a heavy sense of loss. She grieved the routines she once had, the sense of relevance her job provided, and the structure that had guided her days for decades. But instead of rushing to fill every empty hour, Ruth chose a different path. She sat with the silence rather than running from it. She picked up books she had always meant to read, took long walks by herself, and began journaling her private thoughts. There were days when tears came, but little by little, something inside her shifted. The stillness that once felt heavy began to feel calm, even grounding. Slowly, she started to appreciate her own company, realizing that she didn't need constant chatter to feel alive. This is the hidden side of retirement that people rarely talk about. The chance to rediscover who you are when no one else is demanding your time or defining your worth. It's the moment when you stop measuring yourself by how many visits you've made or how many plans fill your calendar. Being alone doesn't have to equal being lonely. In fact, it can be the very first step toward building a life that feels more rooted, more balanced, and more at peace. But that only happens if you let the quiet teach you something instead of rushing to drown it out. When you constantly lean on visits or phone calls just to escape discomfort, you're pushing aside the quiet inner work your heart and soul have been waiting for you to do. You're silencing the deeper questions that deserve your attention. Questions like, who am I now? What do I truly want this next chapter of my life to feel like? What kind of peace have I never allowed myself to embrace? Facing these questions may feel uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. This doesn't mean you should shut yourself off from others. It simply means you must learn to become your own companion first. Because once you begin to genuinely enjoy your own presence, your friendships transform. You no longer visit people out of desperation, seeking to be rescued. Instead, you show up with something complete and peaceful already within you. That's the real opportunity of this stage of life. And it only becomes available when you stop using others as distractions and start welcoming solitude as a doorway to growth and healing. A doorway to a deeper version of yourself, one that doesn't simply survive retirement, but actually grows and flourishes through it. So take a quiet moment right now and ask yourself, which of these reasons touched you the most? Were you reminded of a time when you left a visit feeling strangely emptier than when you arrived? Or perhaps of a moment when you leaned too heavily on a friend, only to realize later that what you truly needed was to strengthen your own ability to lean on yourself? That discomfort you've been carrying, that restless need to always call someone, to always sit with company, it isn't weakness. It's a signal, a gentle but persistent sign that something within you is ready to change, ready to grow. Retirement is unlike any other stage of life. It strips away the structure, the titles, and the constant demands that once defined your days. You lose the routine, the external validation, and sometimes even the sense of direction you had for decades. But in that very loss lies an extraordinary gift, space, wide, open space. And the question becomes, how will you use it? Will you rush to fill every corner with noise, endless visits, and distractions? Or will you allow the stillness to guide you towards something more meaningful, something that only silence can teach? If you've been visiting friends mostly to escape loneliness, don't judge yourself. Don't see it as failure. Instead, see it as an invitation to pause and gently ask, what does my heart truly need right now? Because while human connection is beautiful and nourishing, solitude carries its own quiet beauty. Learning to sit with yourself, to breathe with your own thoughts, and to find peace in your own company is not just powerful, it's essential. Only when you embrace that inner stillness can you show up in your friendships with the kind of calm, balanced energy that nurtures both you and the people you care about. So today, give yourself permission to take a little time just for you. Step away from the constant noise of the world and let yourself breathe in stillness. Sit in a quiet room where the only sound you hear is your own steady breath. Take a slow, unhurried walk without your phone, noticing the way the light falls, the rhythm of your steps, and the calm that begins to settle inside you. Write down a thought or a feeling you've carried, but never spoken aloud. As you do, you may be surprised at how your own presence starts to feel less unfamiliar and more like home, safe, grounding, and comforting. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing that stood out to you and how you plan to bring it into your daily life. Your thoughts truly matter, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments brings encouragement and inspiration, reminding us that we're walking this journey together. If you found this video meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit. Your support makes it possible for us to keep creating thoughtful content designed to inform, uplift, and inspire. Wishing you good health, lasting happiness, and deep peace in every step of your journey. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so we can continue learning, growing, and staying strong together.